The 45-mile-long Susquehanna, PA, and Tidewater, Maryland, canal ran from the Wrightsville, Pennsylvania to Havre, Grace, Maryland. The canal was built between 1835 and 1839 in order to improve commerce on the Susquehanna River. The new canal would connect the extensive Pennsylvania canal system with the Tidewater, primarily Baltimore and Philadelphia. The canal opened for business in 1840. Raw materials such as coal, iron ore, flint, lumber, and grain were taken south to navigable water. Products included groceries, dry goods, agricultural supplies. Dry goods and agricultural supplies were sent back. Traffic on the canal was very heavy, reaching its peak in 1864. Unfortunately, the canal was plagued by ongoing problems, including lack of sufficient funds, legal disputes, railroad competition, and storm-related damage. Eventually, ravages of nature and the cost of repairs made continuation impractical. Pennsylvania's Susquehanna Canal never reopened after May 1894 flood. Maryland's Tidewater Canal continued in operation for local traffic until about 1900. And right here is the lock. And this is the lock keeper's house and museum. It's not open. And this little footbridge right there is actually on a turnstile, so they could swing that out of the way so that the I guess so they could get their the mules from one side to the other. Actually, that looks like exactly what it was. It's wide enough for a horse. That's how they got the mules off the thing, because the canal ends right there. Unless the mules want to go swimming, they gotta get from one side to the other. And so then that bridge would spin out of the way and the locks would open and the canal boats could continue on their way. Look at the swing bridge. Definitely wide enough to get a mule or even two side by side across, and it would swing out of the way. Instead of following the slope of the land like rivers and streams, the canal periodically takes a vertical step between long stretches of flat water. Locks were constructed at each vertical step to accomplish moving barges up and down between each of the long stretches of flat waterway. The vertical step at this lock is 8 feet. While the lock's hand-operated miter gates were simple in concept, they required close attention and experience to operate. As the boatman approached the lock, he would sound an alarm half to a quarter mile away, alerting the lock tender. Entering the lock was the most dangerous part of canaling. Canal boats were usually designed to fill the locks as much as possible. Thus, a boat would enter the lock with only inches to spare. If the helmsman allowed the boat to hit the lock walls, he could damage the lock walls or sink the boat. Nevertheless, the boat had to be moving fast enough to go all the way into the lock. Yet, it still had to be stopped before hitting the gate at the other end of the lock. Crashes of this sort were a major cause of damage to the canal, as boatsmen would often race each other to get to the lock first. As the boat entered the lock, a crew member jumped ashore and wrapped a rope around a snubbing pole anchored next to the lock. Working the snubbing post took a steady hand. If the rope was too tight, the boat would crash into the side of the lock, or the post would snap, sending the boat into the gate at the far end. Too loose, and the boat crashed into the gate as well. Once the boat was snubbed into the locking process could begin. Generally, the whole process of locking the boat through the gates took about 10 minutes. We have sluice valves at the bottom. The handles open the sluices. Very interesting. Locking through southbound. Sluice valves or wickets on the upper gate are open and the water in the lock is raised to the point of level of the upstream canal. The upper gates are open and the boat enters the lock. The upper gates and their sluice valves are closed. The sluice valves and the lower gates are open, allowing water to empty from the lock. The boat is lowered slowly as the water in the lock drops to the level of the downstream canal. At this point, the lower gate is open and the boat proceeds forward, joining the lower level of the canal. And again, we're at the very end where the Susquehanna Canal, or Tidewater as it were, empties into the Chesapeake. And this swing bridge was how they got the mules from one side to another. Very cool.